Welcome to Book Club for Movies, everybody, for the week of... Oh, no, Matt. Got one job.
It's the week of Octoberween. It's the final
It's
week
the Monday. It is.
It's Halloween.
Monday the 24th, the week of the 24th. I'm Ryan Miller. That was Matt Amberg. You ruined the surprise.
Hi, I'm a surpriser, ruiner, boo.
And we're Book Club for Movies. That's not a thing that we do. But
For Halloween, why don't we change it to Boo Club for movies?
oh, that's good. What we do is watch one movie a week. And if you also do that, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, podcast at bookclubformovies.com is the email. And, of course, Patreon, where every now and then we'll put something up like we did last year where we spoke with my daughter about the Blair Witch Project. I think we did a whole show on the Blair Witch Project. And then if I remember correctly, my daughter came in towards the end. Does that sound
That is
right?
Correct.
Okay. That will be released to the non-patronizing public. But that will be emblematic of what you can expect when we are on our game with all of them Patreon extras. So please go visit Patreon, check it out, see what you think. This week, it's another wiener. It's the last and final wiener of the October wieners.
It is.
Matt.
The last ween.
Final thrilling conclusion to the quadrilogy, because we've already done it's always hard, Umbrellas of Cherbourg,
That's right, yep, the Umbrellas of Cherbourg we did once.
Gosh dang, no, the first one,
We're all going
to the
to
World's
the World's
Fair
Fair.
is still maybe top of the list after today. I don't know, we'll see. But then we did Glorious. How am I doing?
Yeah.
And then just this very last week, most recently, exactly 1 week ago, I finished the edit and posted the episode for...
The Innkeepers, my man. The Innkeepers.
The Innkeepers! I was literally going to bookclubformovies.com.
Hey, check it out.
You too.
That's our website. You can look at it. Join the book club. And
this week, it is Deadstream. Matt, do you have a synopsis for Deadstream, Matt?
I have a synopsis for Deadstream, period. No Deadstream, Matt. I don't know what that is. You silly... This is the worst episode today. Why?
Saturday episodes.
I feel like we should start
back
over.
Again.
This is just bad. Deadstream coming at you, an hour and 27 minutes. Written by Vanessa and Joseph Winter. Directed by Joseph and Vanessa Winter. Starring Joseph Winter and Melanie Stone. Here is your book club for the movies synopsis for Deadstream. A controversial content creator tries to reclaim his image by live streaming his overnight stay at a haunted house.
Extra points for controversial content creator.
I was feeling good about that one. I tried to do more, but it seemed like it was pushing it.
Well, there's not much more, certainly, that I could add either. This is another movie that made the rounds, the festival circuit rounds. But this year, Matt, this barely South by Southwest this year in March, and then went into wide release just this month, even, of Octoberween.
Yeah, it hit Shudder earlier this month.
So you hadn't seen it.
Nope.
I hadn't seen it. This is unprecedented.
I hadn't actually even heard of it until maybe a month prior, until September, maybe.
You still got me beat, but you usually do, certainly for the wieners. So wait, how did you come across it then? What was the
number one? It was just it's on Shudder. So when I log into Shudder, it's like one of the because Shudder ended up producing it or distributing it.
Yeah, they did. They were the distributor.
Yeah. Okay. So it's whenever they do their movies, of course they're on their big main screen when you start scrolling. So it was there, and then I think it was Scott Weinberg on Twitter. I think that's who it was that mentioned it and said, "This is really great. And if you like found footage, go back and watch my found footage movie, which is also entertaining." But
what is his found footage movie, actually?
It's literally called Found Footage 3D, and it was a movie made So
great title.
Yeah, it is, and the movie is very entertaining, and it's a good found footage first person thingy. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, I guess if we were to go back in time, this might be a continuation of our found footage discussion, which again will have something to do with that Blair Witch Project episode. But also, we talked about Cloverfield.
Yeah, we did.
Probably on the first week of Octoberween. So that would have been in the We're All Going to the World's Fair show.
Correct.
And this is, I would say, yes, a continuation of that genre. It's maybe somewhere in between, unless you also consider the kind of screen film. I don't know. Does that have a name? A movie that is mostly from a computer screen type?
I still am going with found footage because
it's definitely in there. I just feel like maybe that's a subgenre that's popped up since.
It does feel like, I hear you. This is like the next level of that is like, this is the GoPro version. So what is
this is somewhere in between, maybe both. I would still obviously call it an evolution of the found footage genre. And a pretty darn good one at that. They do just about everything that genre tries to do. They justify the camera, probably better than any of the movies we've talked about so far. I'm not going to say better than any found footage film because I don't know them all. But in the character of Sean Ruddy, right?
Sean Ruddy.
Also the director, Joseph Winter. I've never been more convinced as to why there's always a camera on somewhere. I mean, he does the footwork, technically speaking. Like, he's got a camera set up. In fact, the whole first act mostly is him setting up these different cameras in these different rooms and bringing them into the feed because he's also live streaming. So there's also that aspect to it. Perfect justification. Never had a doubt as to how messed up this guy was to always be on camera, to always want to be on camera. We'll get more into that, I guess. But yeah, as far as found footage stuff goes, really good.
Agreed. And the way that they that they show off the specific tech that he has, which is, I mean, it doesn't look like anything crazy. It's just a bunch of wireless webcams, essentially, that he's setting up. Yeah, there's, of course, you give a little, you kind of ignore some of the aspects of the technical. If you're a technical person, like, really, what's the Wi-Fi like out there? Is there Wi-Fi in the middle of this?
No, actually, I didn't. Maybe it's because I've looked into that stuff before, but that is the least of the issues. In fact, the maybe only issue I had with the tech stuff was the bracelet he put on, which, again, I don't know if that's not real.
I'm so curious.
Okay, very well.
So I agree with you 100%. We're on the same page. Yeah, like that. Yeah. So at the very beginning of the movie, we are given to know that this guy Sean, he's trying to make a comeback of some type. We don't know what he did wrong. We just know that it was something pretty bad.
And they show his apology video up front, but it is classically. This is not only is it like found footage awesome, it is
relevant to right now, and God.
It's almost too good. Like, there was a point at the beginning of the film where I'm like, oh, this might be too accurate. Like, I don't know if I can actually watch this guy, as I often respond to stuff like this on YouTube.
Sure.
That is, let's say, not necessarily made for my generation.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So the beginning of the film is we get that apology video, but again, nothing is specified. So we're kind of, it's something to keep in the back of your mind. The guy is not necessarily the greatest guy, but
at least he's on camera.
At least he's on camera. And the thing is,
pretty much it.
The way they portray him right out of the gate, he is like, I mean, he truly is an influencer from today. This movie...
It's freaking perfect, man.
Part of the reason...
Joseph Winter is freaking perfect as Sean Ruddy.
I would say the one of the main reasons this movie works for me is that at no point in the movie do I think that this is beyond the realm of what an influencer would do. Like, awesome. I would absolutely, I could see exactly every step, every stupid decision he makes in this movie, everything that he follows, like he's prodded by his followers, which also is a fantastic addition throughout the movie. The reading the chat, like every once in a while we go back and we see him responding to chat while he's scared, while he's doing stuff. So the movie is definitely got a comedic element to it. This is not a straightforward, we're trying to make a scary horror movie.
We'll come back to that because I don't think I thought necessarily it was a comedy, maybe for as accurate a representation of this guy, this type of person as it was. I don't think it it struck me as an out and out comedy just yet. Until farther on.
Not at that point, yeah, but it does very much
Even
so,
if I was laughing, certainly,
It does very much so end up leaning into. So I mentioned this to you and to Beth, that this is very much to me, Blair Witch Light meets Evil Dead Light. So both really great concepts, great movies pushed together into and when I say that, I also mean that from the budget perspective too. So neither of those movies had huge budgets. I mean, Evil Dead 2 had a significantly larger budget than either, but in terms of like the actual budget that goes into this movie, right? Like it feels, you can see with the monsters that show up that they're not quite, perfect movie magic. You can see the plastic the plastic things. You can see
the latex jiggle, as I called it, just a little bit.
Yeah, and I love it. It's amazing. And at the beginning of the movie, again, jumping back a little bit, we're given this introduction to him. He's gonna go and do the thing that scares him the most by staying the night at a Halloween or at a haunted house, at an
Octoberween
house. And then we see him setting up all the technology. And again, jumping back to just that thing, which is kind of what set me off. The only thing about the tech that he has that is questionable is he does have a bracelet that when he shakes his hand enough, it switches cameras. But even that does sound pretty realistic. I still haven't looked it up. If it's real, that's cool. That's pretty cool. It's kind of neat.
I don't know where I would ever use it. I guess if I was live streaming constantly.
I think it's one of those things where maybe you'd use it where if you had, you're watching one camera, you've got the other camera set up, and you want to, I don't know why you'd do it. It's stupid.
You would do it only in this situation, I feel like, and not even just this situation if you were making a movie about this situation, but maybe that actual situation, yes. But yeah, there's no way I would. Again, this is video producer Ryan coming at you, but there's no way I would put that bracelet on and try to cut between. It would just happen accidentally all the time.
Yeah, you'd
That's
go
just
to scratch your head and then be like, ah!
Yeah, yep. And it would cut to me in the bathroom. Like, dang it!
MillerMedia.me.
I don't think that site's going anymore.
Well, if it isn't, go check it out. So let's get into the meat of this movie, because it has some gross, meaty things in it.
And we're going to spoil it. Like, definitely watch it. I don't think anything we're going to say is going to ruin any of actually experiencing this thing. But yes, beat to beat, we're going to spoil everything.
Yes.
And there are some pretty cool like plot twists and pacing things that might be better left unsaid. So if this is itching or scratching or pussing, I guess, go check it out before listening to this. Yeah, go. So actually, we've made it through a fair amount of my notes already. Maybe the first kind of twist that I thought was brilliantly done was when Chrissy shows up.
Yes.
Which this is also maybe one of the things we'll spoil. Chrissy ends up being Mildred?
Mildred.
Yeah, okay. There is a story to go with the house. It is the story of Mildred, who was from a long time ago, and she was a poet. And would she become trapped in the house or something? I forget the actual backstory.
Yeah, I can't remember why she died in the house.
Yeah, but she's the one essentially haunting, or how the rumors go.
Right. And then and again, the purpose that we eventually get to why she's haunting the house is just everything dovetails so well in this movie.
Well, the reason I say, because when she shows up and is Chrissy at first, she's just some fan that has tracked down Sean and wants to be with him and hang out with him. And it was perfect in the moment, because I'm like, man, the only thing worse than Sean is one of Sean's fans. Like that, this is the only thing they could have done to ramp this up would be to bring. I mean, for the most part, when we see the fans on the screen and stuff like that, they are pretty.
Most of them
are. You get the feeling they're watching him out of.
Oh, they're hate watching. they want him to get hurt. They
Yes.
want him. I mean, they're
Yes.
rooting for him to fail. There are,
Yes.
when you read through the chat, which is one of the reasons I definitely want to go back and watch the movie again to see what other nonsense
there's a
is
bunch
in there.
because he only speaks the top one. Yeah, the top
Right.
hits.
And I definitely was like reading around it, but
Chrissy's not that. Chrissy's a true believer, it seems, right?
yeah, she's like, this is it. I'm ready to be here. And he hooks her up with a camera, puts a camera on her head, and has her cruising around. And she seems to be more willing to do things in the house, go into the rooms, to which he, of course, is then just mocked mercilessly by his followers, forcing him to also then follow her and see
because
what's going on.
I think the one rule they return to, he's made a few rules for himself, but the rule they keep returning to is if he hears something suspicious, he has to go check it out. He's made this rule for himself, and he is beholden to his followers. Keep that in mind. You know, it shouldn't be hard given what we're talking about here, but he is beholden to these promises he's made to his followers.
Yeah, and Chrissy being a follower, also she's there to hold him to what he's chosen, his own rules and all that, which is a great flip.
It is. It's great now that I'm thinking about it because she's Mildred, right? Like it's really good. Okay.
And then this leads to her taking him down into the. Did they go into the basement? Is that where they go for when he does the seance? Because he also has...
I don't remember, but at one point... Because he doesn't know the basement is there until he finds the entrance through like a hole in the closet or something, yeah.
At one point... And we're going all over the place here, but at one point...
we will.
He also pulls out a spinning wheel. He's got like a one of those... It looks like a twister
what
wheel.
Is it? Wheel of
death
or surprises.
Wheel of
or
stupidity, something. Yeah. But it has all sorts of stuff that, you go into a haunted house and things that you shouldn't do, like a seance, EVPs, doing all that stuff. So he ends up doing EVP stuff in the house, and that goes about as well as you expect.
I mean, everything goes about as well as you'd expect, but it's just done so well. Like I said, Joseph Winter is an absolute perfect Sean Ruddy.
Yeah.
And it does really all come together with the whole followers ideal. The whole idea, you really want to go everywhere. Check this out. At some point, when stuff's getting really bad, he's literally yelling, "Somebody help, I'm dying." And then immediately after that says, "I don't even know if I'm still streaming."
I don't even know if I'm still streaming. It was the perfect encapsulation of...
Because he doesn't know which is which, right? That essentially is what's going on. He is not alive unless he is on camera to some extent. And that's never really resolved. Like there is a point, because it does kind of come to a head, especially with all the apology stuff, where he is... you think supposed to reach a true point of apology, because again, the first apology was a classic internet apology. It was really bad.
It was I'm sorry if anybody's feelings were hurt.
Yes. And you think he's about to get there in a moment, and he doesn't really. Like he doubles back, he messes up again, he does another really bad apology. And for a split second, why that doubly works for me is that I just about feel bad for him, which I don't know if I've ever done in any of these cases, right? But
nice.
But it's in the way that, he just doesn't have the tools. Like he's literally incapable, like special needs, just about, like he literally doesn't have the ability. He is not capable of figuring that out, and it works. Like I don't feel unsatisfied.
So yeah.
It's not like I'm like, they never resolved that. No, it's just absolutely perfect. It all is, really.
And the other reason I think that works is all the practical stuff around it, right? Like
so good
because he is interacting with the stuff, so there's not CGI for him to like have to try to look at.
There isn't any, right? Like there's no...
If there is, it's very minimal.
Yeah.
Like,
okay, I guess, yeah.
But this is such a low budget film. I highly doubt any of the CGI was outside of probably camera stuff, trying to make the cameras look a certain way.
Yeah, there's a couple moments where, because he has an iPad with all of his different angles, and there's a couple moments where he'll look at the iPad to get the video feed, and that's the only place the monster will show up, which is, I think, is again a cute little.
I think is super fun. So there's a moment too where Mildred, the first time he sees her, she's hung from the top of the stairs. And he steps out into the hallway. He doesn't see anything. He looks at the screen. He sees her hanging. So he says he's going to try to get by her. And as he's scooting by her, it's a legitimately like creepy moment in a movie that has up until then been mostly kind of goofy. Like not goofy.
Yeah, that might be kind of the first real
light, not super scary. It's been very much this guy is a dingus, right? Like, and now we're getting into something, and it's a great moment, like, because it's going to kick off whatever haunting he's actually really gonna get into, and it's a great setup.
Yeah, and again, the bit where they only live on video, even the monsters only live on video, I think is another fun little nod.
Great stuff. And then so kind of jumping forward and even using the bit about him not knowing if he's alive as a jumping off point for the kind of the remainder of the movie. I love the fact that and here we go, we're going to spoil the end of the film here. But I do love that the ultimate purpose Mildred had was to not have a family that was so big that she always wanted. It was just to have people listen to and recite her poetry. Because throughout the movie, that's what he hears on the EVP. He hears lines, like weird things about still pond water and all this. And then he ends up finding her journal, which is her poetry book, in the basement. And
immediately makes fun of it, like,
and right away. I mean, this movie is he says it at the beginning, but this movie is about him pissing off spirits. That's the entire movie.
Yeah, alive and dead for the most part. Yeah,
yeah, and so the whole purpose ends up being him trying to then go, "Hey, Mildred, I can give you the followers, just don't kill me."
Yeah, and that's kind of what I feel like the third act turns on, is he, of course, like recontextualizes everything into, what she wants, what the spirit wants is followers. I know what that is. Like, I can deal with this. So his whole tack for the end of the film, which I don't even think I need to spoil, that's probably enough of a spoiler, is basically coming at her from that direction and winning.
Well, to a degree, sure.
To a degree,
there's a point here. I don't know if he wins or loses.
He's gonna demonetize her. That's his war cry. Yes. I'll demonetize her.
And it's perfect. And
it is. It's really good.
This movie is so. The other thing I want to mention about this movie is, it is, when I say that it is Blair Witch Light and the Evil Dead 2 Light, I mean that in every respect, including kind of the gore, where there's some funny stuff. I love the running gag of the finger up the nose. It's just really great. It's so ridiculous, but it's perfect. It's another encapsulation of kind of what I'm talking about when I mentioned the Evil Dead, Sam Raimi-esque humor that kind of follows throughout this movie. And what I want to get to is that this is a movie that goes on my list of great introductions to horror for like a 12, 13-year-old.
Yeah, I'm considering showing it to my family, because it's I think it's rated R, but it doesn't have, I think, barely any swearing, because one of the jokes is that he gets dinged if he does swear on camera.
Yeah, which is also a great way, by the way, of keeping that to a minimum.
Sure, yeah.
Which, a lot of movies have a hard time doing.
Don't they?
Let's be real.
But then the monsters too, they're not, like, you're right, there's a little bit of jiggle to them. They look everything is shot with that really blown out, like the single light on his head. In fact, that might be actually what they're using, but
it could be.
It works perfectly for the monsters, but also they're not treated so seriously. In fact, here's a question, considering that. I'm curious why you're choosing Evil Dead over Army of Darkness, because I went with Army of Darkness.
Sure.
Yeah, I know
Army of
it's
Darkness.
a potato maybe, but it just felt, when I figured it out, I was like, oh, this is not even necessarily supposed to be like poop my pants scary. It's supposed to be a bit funny too, if not a lot funny. You know?
And that's why I go with Evil Dead 2 more so, because also it's the smaller cabiny thing, whereas Army of Darkness is a much larger story.
Okay, all right, that does make sense. Sure.
But at the end of the day, it's really less about the Evil Dead and more about the Sam Raimi humor that he instills in the horror. To make it so much lighter but this is definitely like, it is taking the piss out of the influencer culture, out of all of that, the YouTube, the having to be online, the having no personality unless you're online. It's great, man. And I think
no life or reality, maybe even. Yeah.
I mean, it does. It goes that far, and it's good, and it's good about it too. It's funny. It's got that those thematic elements, but it wears them on its sleeve, and it does it in a funny way. Like, it's not self-serious, which is part of the reason between the practical effects not being Tom Savini, Rob Bottin levels of gosh, and then that whole concept behind it, it just makes it lighter in the perfect way to be scary enough for somebody who's not really into horror, has not met horror yet, but not to the point where it's like, probably won't give them too many nightmares. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you get to eat your cake and have it too. Maybe not in that order. I will
eat your cake and I'll have mine.
There are legitimate, spooky moments. In fact, most of them start out that way. There's a lot of jump scares. In fact, there's something, I think, if there's any maybe downside to this, and I don't even know if it might just be genre specific. It does kind of lend itself to the jump scares, in fact, we didn't talk about this when it came to The Innkeepers, but there's that internet video where you stare at a screen for a while and then a face jumps out and scares you, right? The Innkeepers plays with that pretty cool, like up until the very last scene, I think. But this kind of has that, like, legitimately. It does that a few times, but again, legitimately scary, and some of the images and monsters also legitimately scary. So you get to have that, and then it's also funny and wacky and goofy after this. So it's
right. It works out in such a way where by the end of the movie, I think you have a really good handle, especially the end when all of the monsters kind of make themselves visible. You go, oh yeah. Okay. It has that transcendental property of being able to be gross while also being completely and utterly obviously not real, like I don't know if that makes sense.
No, big recommendation from me for Deadstream. Did it eclipse We're All Going to the World's Fair? I mean, we are talking literal opposite ends of the spectrum here. So I'm not going to answer.
That's great.
Certainly my favorite two of this season. We're all going to the World's Fair and Deadstream.
All right. Love it. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. Deadstream streaming on Shudder. Go check that out. It's great.
Deadstreaming on Shudder.
Boom.
39 stars.
Out of 16 Beaver Tales.
Excellent. So if you're interested in joining the conversation, you can find us at podcast@bookclubformovies.com. Of course, again, Facebook, Twitter, and Patreon. Mentioned that. You can still look at it. Nobody's stopping you.
Not yet, but they might be.
And that's it. That's all. The Wieners. We've done them all. I mean, again, you'll find a little bit of a bonus in that re-released episode for Blair Witch, but as far as the season goes, that's it.
Yeah. Do you have any follow-on wieners that you want to mention?
Oh, I do. Actually, that's true. I'll have some rest of the show wieners to talk about, I guess. But I was saying in terms of what we're going to do next week.
Okay.
We are re-theming a month yet again with so far, I think 3 movies we've never seen.
Never seen.
Right?
We're gonna go. I think we're gonna go for the full 4 and go for 4 noir films that we have never seen for Noirvember.
Yeah, almost like the title came before the movies.
It's probably definitely not original.
But actually, yeah, also that. But also, it kind of happened because I was listening to several different podcasts, one with Ed Brubaker of comic book fame, another of Patton Oswalt of
comic
I guess
book
probably
fame.
also comic book fame,
Yep.
amongst other things. And then the third, I can't remember where I heard about it from, so I will find out. But just so you guys know, we are doing, in this order even, our Blast of Silence,
Ooh.
Out of the Past.
Yes.
And Act of Violence.
Right.
And then Kansas City Confidential, which was a choice of Matt's, actually. That did not pop up out of nowhere to create its own month of November.
Sure.
But I've heard it's quite good.
I've never seen it. I've only
Right.
ever heard that it was good, and it's one of these movies I've got a blind spot for. And with a name like Kansas City Confidential, I kind of want to see it. It just has a good name,
Yeah, because it's obviously what LA Confidential was taking from.
There's
right?
gotta
So
be something.
It's gotta be good. Yeah. Also, guess what? I just remembered that might not be next week. Black Adam might be next week.
I don't know. We can still start Noirvember and release. We can do a double release in the week.
Yeah, we can do it. We're going to do it this week,
we,
probably.
And in fact, we should, because more content better.
More content better here at Book Club for Movies. Come back next week for either and or Black Adam and Blast of Silence. Until then, I do have some extra wieners for the show. In fact, I think I'm going to tell you about all of them. So
I've got a wiener that I can talk about too.
Do it. Go
I'm
for it.
Going to. There is a film that's making the rounds right now in the cinemas. It's on video. You can find it on demand too somewhere. I think Scream Factory. I think Screenbox. Okay. No, Screenbox. It's on Screenbox. All sorts of shenanigans coming out of this film. It was made for no money. It has made $5 million, barely released. Reintroducing a brand new horror hero in Art the Clown. Terrifier 2. I watched Terrifier 2.
I do like the name, Art.
It's perfect.
Clown.
It's perfect.
Is he an artist?
Oh yeah, he would say so. Well, he would not, because he doesn't speak. It's one of my favorite. One of the best parts is Art does not make a noise throughout the movie ever.
Like with his mouth or with anything he does either.
No, I mean like if he hits somebody that hit. But yes, it's muted.
If Art hits somebody, does it make a noise?
That's. Oh my God, you have just caused a billion different art majors heads to explode. So Terrifier 2 is the sequel to the 2016 movie where that was Art's first foray into a film on his own. He started off. I was going to say,
I feel like he's a shorts guy.
Yes, he was created in 2005 by Damien Leone, who then put him in All Hallows Eve, which was a couple of short films that he had put together, and then decided to use the character of Art as a kind of a showcase, partially for his special effects abilities, because he's an artist. He's a special effects artist. So he made Terrifier. Terrifier is, in terms of the special effects work, is amazing. Like it's some of the best practical work that has been out there. It's very much in line with Adam Green and Hatchet. So, very, very bloody, very gory, extremely obnoxious to a point. Like, he does, like, it's gross, but it goes to a certain degree where you're like, this is just not even a thing. This is what are you doing? But the movie, the biggest complaint people had about Terrifier was that it had no plot. And it really didn't. It's Art exists. He sees some people. He decides to kill them, and he's just kind of hunting them throughout the movie until he does. And then
a 90-minute short, if you will.
Essentially. Then he shoots himself in the head at the end of the movie. But then at the end of the movie, he sits up at the morgue. So we don't know what's going on. Now, Terrifier 2
Fantastic.
Terrifier 2 picks up right where that one leaves off, with Art waking up at the morgue, killing the morgue attendant, eventually taking his eye and sticking it in his eye so that he like in the eye hole that he had from where he shot himself. So again, so this movie
is the movie, now I'm just curious if the movie's interested in explaining the supernatural nature of it all, or is it just that bonkers? It's
okay, so this is an excellent question, because people asked Damien Leone about it. They were like, so the movie kind of veers into this weird thing at the very end. And then
so the first Terrifier isn't like, there's no like supernatural or...
No, I mean, he shoots himself in the head, and then at the very end of the movie he sits up and he's very much
but
still
that's
alive.
it for the first movie. For the first movie, there's no like supernatural element so much to what he's...
No,
interesting.
The second movie is just a continuation where he's now woke. He's up in the morgue. He kills that morgue attendant from the first movie, and is just playing with him and cuts his eye out and sticks the eye in his head. But the movie then does take it a next step, because people asked Damien Leone about that, like what the deal was there. And he was like, I've got some ideas and I don't want to explain everything, which, I mean, I don't know that I believe he knows what he's doing.
He doesn't. No, absolutely doesn't. But that's fine. He doesn't need to at this moment.
In this one, Art has there's a young version of him, like a girl version of him, that's kind of following him around. She's not really doing anything but watching him and like laughing with him, but they both don't make noise. So it's just real weird. It's bizarre.
This has all of the markings of like Terrifier 17 is going to happen.
It could.
This is
just
just
very
going
well
to keep.
Could.
This is a new Saw franchise.
So the movie then concerns itself with a brother and sister. A brother who's kind of half interested in art, wants to dress up as Art. His sister is like, she's building her cosplay stuff, and she's not super into the whole, like, I don't think it's cool that you're doing that. Funny enough, she says when they film this, she goes, you don't see people dressing up like Jeffrey Dahmer, and then the Dahmer shows out. So like the timing on that was like perfect. But then it turns into this weird, their dad disappeared at one point, but had also drawn pictures of Art the Clown before Art came to existence, and that his daughter might be the key to killing Art the Clown.
And so we might have a better idea than I'm giving him credit for.
And so there's some story here, and it does like some characters end up with glowing yellow eyes and have some weird, there's a underground, I don't know. The movie is bonkers in every respect. Now, what I want to mostly address is the comments that I see from that are popping up all over the mainstream, where people are saying, man, I saw somebody vomiting, I saw somebody pass out, somebody did this and that. And Damien Leone, now to be perfectly fair,
like in the theater or something?
Yeah, in the theaters, okay. Yeah. I don't believe for one second that he had anything to do with that particular idea in terms of maybe marketing. They didn't have any money. Like, the money is gone. There was no marketing budget for this movie. Every dollar it has made essentially has come from word of mouth. It came from people wanting, like, there was some public funding, like a Kickstarter, something like that. But then the rest of it was all private equity that he put together, and it was made for like $250,000. And
even then it only got up to like whatever you said, 250.
Yeah, which is not a ton for a movie of this type. This is, again, hardcore into the gore. This movie is way into it.
Hardcore.
But what I want to, but in terms of the like vomiting and the passing out, I really would love to see actual proof of it. I have a hard time, especially after seeing the first one. This is 2 hours. So this is an epic freaking movie, right? This is 2 hours of just him killing and blood and gore and things exploding. There's like half an hour overall of storyline, kind of maybe 45 minutes. But it's definitely not a full hour of non-killing. An hour and a half of this is just killing, doing things that are gross. The first movie is like barely an hour and a half, I think. So, but what I want to get to is that in comparison to the first movie has an all-timer, like one of the grossest scenes. It's up there with Bone Tomahawk because it's essentially the female version of the Bone Tomahawk scene. And it's gross. But I didn't see anything in this movie that was grosser than that. Like I don't know. He said that he was trying to figure out how to top it. I would say he didn't, but I don't know that he needed to. Like at this point, instead of topping that, it was really more like he didn't top it so much in terms of the going over, like he went over the top by the amount of gross stuff. And there is a sequence at the beginning which is pretty nasty, with skin being removed and stuff. And I guess that's probably the one he's thinking of. But dude, so
you have an issue with, like, you don't think people are reacting in that way? Like what? I guess I don't know.
I just am curious if it's real, because it's pretty awful. Like it's gross, but it's not grosser than like Hellraiser or anything. Like I don't know. It's I'm just curious what the actual reactions are. Are there people that are actually passing out and vomiting?
Write in. Let us know.
Yeah. Did you pass out and vomit?
I personally no, not yet. But having had the gore conversation with you a couple different times, and we draw the line at different, not that even that we draw the line, but I think our definition can differ here and there. I can't remember now what movies we were specifically talking about, but I would believe that there might be a movie out there that doesn't do so much for you. But I mean, yes, it would have to be maybe somebody even worse or as more uninitiated than I am to the horror genre, which if you really want to hear the difference, just stick around and I'll talk about the horror movies I've been watching and how I talk about them. You'll see there's a difference. It would take somebody like that maybe to make it to Terrifier 2 somehow, to maybe throw up and leave or whatever.
I mean, at this point, that the movie exists almost as a challenge for people. Like that's, come see this. Are you going to vomit? I dare you.
So maybe one that like was a friendship ended over it. Did somebody have that one friend that's like, I'm bringing this friend to this movie? Haha, he.
And then that was it. Could be. I liked it though. Well, I did like it for 2 hours. The movie is a clinic in special effects makeup. I mean, the guy, for somebody who does not have the experience or the tools of so many of those brilliant, well-respected and well-known special effects artists, this guy, if he continues doing this work, really needs to be remembered and put up there. Because say what you want about any of it, the gore in the movie, the makeup work is amazing. It is so good. And
yeah, I mean, put practical guys in charge of more things. Certainly,
that's it. That the thing is, he noted out, and I was able to spot them because he noted them. He said, "Yeah, everything in the movie is practical. There are like 2 digital effects, and they both involve like severing the head, and so they wanted to be able to have the facial expressions and eyes blinking."
I mean, let's be honest. Severed heads are maybe the weakest point in practical. Usually, I mean, I've seen some good ones, but usually that's the moment where you're like, I can tell it's not real,
right? And this the way they do it in this, like the way it's great. It actually works. You don't know it's digital unless you know it's digital, and even then, it's blended well enough to where
in service of the practical.
100%. It is 100%. And he, again, because the movies are essentially just showcases for him, he deserves the attention. Like he knows how to the guy knows how to do some pretty gross stuff in a great way.
Can't wait until this guy makes a movie for me. That's again, you're going to find out when I come into these, but that's usually where I come in. Oh, this guy that did all of these like huge horror. I mean, it's got to be good if he's reinventing the clown kind of thing. Like, I feel like people don't even try that because of it, right? They're just like, it's been done, like, and can't be done any better.
Art is amazing in that the whole look. And one of the things that really nails the art look is that it is so minimal on the makeup. The makeup really is building out his forehead, and he gets a very sharp kind of right here around the eyes. And then the rest of it is just white
some
paint.
of the mouth, it's just a black hole with some teeth there, but I would give that to
it's the
David Howard Thornton, I guess.
It's the dentures and then just the black makeup around the mouth. Like the only actual like appliance he has is right here. It's the forehead and the eyes and the section around his eyes. And the rest of it is his body language and the way he does things. Like, and I'm
just looking at the posters here too. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's great. Just watch the trailer. And when he like pops his head out of the like ice cream truck in the fantasy that she's having and he waves, it's creepy as hell.
Cool. I'll check out the trailer. I'll give you that much.
Yeah, watch the trailer. Do it. You'll see exactly why he is definitely a horror icon for the generation.
Yeah, when is he going to make it to Dead by Daylight? Like, it's going to happen, right?
There's already the clown in Dead by Daylight, so all they need to do is just create a skin.
Oh, I guess. Yeah.
I tweeted it last night.
No, I saw. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm referring to. But also, yeah, it makes perfect sense.
I would definitely jump back into DBD if they put art in the game.
Or is art already in Dead by Daylight? Is Dead by Daylight already art?
Well, Bubba sure is.
So again, it's here. I'll speak of like 5 movies in about the same amount of time that we spoke about Terrifier. Bloody Hell.
Bloody hell!
Recommended to me.
I did. I liked it.
I did also. Did I like it? Did it rise to liking? It is. It's good. It's fine. It's. They took a couple ideas, Finnish cannibals, and the storytelling technique where the guy's conscience is basically outside of his body. It's not so much his conscience, I guess, because he kind of disappears when he resolves some of his issues. I think those choices that they made, they all work. Like, it's sufficiently creepy and weird, even before they get to the Finnish cannibals, for that matter. And the storytelling technique of the guys talking to himself, yeah, it all works and is good. It just didn't. It wasn't like a blow me away type thing. No. You could probably watch the trailer and know if you're gonna like it.
All right, I watched it. It's on Shudder. I liked it. It was. I thought it was silly and fun, and
it is. It's all of those things.
And I liked. I actually really liked the build up to the big brother, and then the ending is absolutely ridiculous. The
story is paced well. I wouldn't knock it for that either. Yeah. It's just I don't know. Maybe it just all didn't come together.
It's not something you're gonna go back and watch a bunch of times.
No,
but I
won't.
But I think that as a one off to go, hey, that wasn't bad. That was I didn't feel like I wasted an hour and a half of my life.
If it's the season, the Octoberween season, and you're looking to fill some time, you could do much worse.
Agreed. I like Finnish cannibals because when they're done.
I saw it coming. Didn't make it any less funny to me. It was good. They mess around with that a little bit too. He's got this whole. He's trying to give himself a catchphrase for what he's doing stuff. Yeah, there's stuff to like.
Yeah.
Farther back. Well, I guess I can mention this too. I am rewatching The Conjuring 2 with Evelyn right now. I did get enough distance, and I'm like, oh yeah, we can watch this. And she's doing fine. Like, I forget also she really likes Stranger Things and stuff like that. So it's not like certainly gorier or anything than Stranger Things. It's just more legitimately spooky, like nightmare spooky. And again, that scene where she's looking at the painting of the nun and turning the light on and off. And when the light's off, it's an actual person. But when she turns it on, one of the all-time greats. We went through that again last night. But
so good.
The other thing I don't think I mentioned that I do like about The Conjuring 2 is anytime like something happens, because there's a lot of movies where something happens and that person goes to show somebody else and it doesn't happen again, right? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't believe you. That never happens in The Conjuring 2. Something happens, somebody takes the other person there and being like, there's somebody else here, and then something either worse or equal happens, and you're like, oh, well, like it's just immediately gratifying all of the time.
Big fan.
Super fun.
They are good films.
The other three, I guess. I watched Cat People from 1942.
Sure.
How long has it been since you've seen that? I know there's a few remakes at least, right?
I don't know. I probably 30 years.
I wanted to go back. I like going back and seeing what horror movies were back then, kind of obviously vastly different than they are now, but they're, what is the same, what roots can you see, stuff like that.
Totally.
Cat People is super fun because it is, 90% atmosphere. There's not a lot of practical even, but it's really good at all of that. It's very atmospheric, kind of spooky, and it's still legitimately fun, to watch and see how they did it. And especially for the story. The story is this really weird, I believe she's a Serbian girl, maybe, with like a cat tradition. She thinks her people were cats or turned into cats, and not like werewolf style. It's literally cats.
No, they're just cats.
Yeah. But then they kill, and does she have that in her? And does she? And that goes back and forth. And it's super fun. There
was a remake in the 80s with Natasha Kinski.
That name sounds familiar, and I did see that when I was looking for this one, but I have not seen that one. I'm guessing you've seen that one more recently than not.
That one, that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Worth it? Like, does anything?
It's highly, to my memory, I remember. Yes, I remember enjoying it. And I mean, it's Natasha Kinski.
I think that's actually the more well-known one, right? That's like nobody's talking about the 1942 version when they're talking about Cat People.
I mean, Natasha Kinski was, a force for a very short period of time.
Yeah, I'm looking at her, known for Terminal Velocity. This is kind of the only one I.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot she was in Terminal Velocity.
Okay, cool. The other one, because it's kind of out of nowhere, I didn't even tell you I was going to be talking about it. I finally watched. In fact, this might be from 2019. This is how long it's been on the list since you talked about it. So this will be the second mention on the show. I finally watched Ready or Not.
Oh man, that movie is freaking great.
It is. I don't know. I remember you talking about it, and I remember you being, it feels like lukewarm on it, but I think maybe you just didn't talk a lot about it because it's hard to talk about without spoiling it so much, I guess, maybe.
Sure.
But yeah, it's really good.
It's
like
really good.
I really liked it.
Yeah. I love Samara Weaving is a queen, man. She is amazing in everything. Love her.
Carries the whole movie for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a super ridiculous story. The grandmother, right? It's the grandmother that you just all through the movie, you're like, come on. Come on. You just know.
Yeah, I guess maybe
something.
what I can say, if you haven't, again, this is however many years old now. It's a newly wed couple wherein the bride finds out that she has to do a game on their wedding night, and if she doesn't, something bad happens. But the game that got picked, she picks a card for it, has only been picked once before. In fact, we see that in the opening scene, is hide and seek, and she has to hide, and they're seeking her to kill her, essentially. The entire family. So that doesn't do it justice. Like, anything that's really, really good about that film comes partly at the end. Like, I really enjoy the ending.
What a ridiculous that ending. We saw that in the theater, and I remember us just laughing so hard, going,
I did laugh out loud.
We did not see coming.
No, you kind of don't. And I'm not going to spoil it. So hard recommend.
Yeah.
I could say more, but this last one here could take up a little bit of time, so I'm just going to get to it. Finally, also watched Nope.
A Nope could be a show all on its own. I'm kind of glad that it's not going to be, maybe.
It would be one of those, yes, the shows that weighs on us for an entire week. Like, do I understand everything? No, I don't. Am I going to be able to verbalize it?
Not even a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe we can do this thing, because there's a few out there that this is like their least favorite Jordan Peele.
Definitely not.
And I
need to rewatch.
Actually, no, I probably like this better than Us. I think, actually,
I definitely like this better than Us.
Yeah,
100%.
And I liked that. I mean, that's the thing. I like all of them.
Yes,
but
Us,
I didn't, by any stretch, think this was a bad or a misfire from Peele or any of that. So
this movie,
what did you think?
I love it. This is
okay.
I need to rewatch Get Out because it's been a long time now since I've seen it, but it definitely is up there with Get Out in terms of just everything. Like, that story, I think I might like Get Out more because it's a little more straight horror in the way that I prefer my horror. But do we want to spoil this? Are we gonna?
Yeah, let's spoil Nope. Again, we're not going to do a show on it.
So when you realize that the sound is the screaming of the people, that is some brilliant storytelling, dude. That is a great piece of storytelling.
But also not the moment that scarred me the most in the film.
Oh, like, I'm sure not.
I mean, because yes, it turns out that this big flying saucer, and I can see why this is why people maybe don't like it, is because the idea is so bonkers.
I love it.
It's I think I've heard people calling it genre film. Like, this is what makes it a genre film, is that the actual flying saucer is an animal that eats people with the hole in the bottom of the saucer thing, like,
yeah,
and horses also.
I mean, really anything that is a bio.
I mean, he eats the fake horse too, but that really messes.
But then he spits it out. Oh well, he chokes on it, right?
Probably something like that. But also he eats a lot of. Oh, I guess that's the point, is because he is spitting out all of the non-organic stuff.
Well, and that's how what's his name dies at the beginning.
Right, Keith David. Yeah, but the freakiest thing in the entire film, like I said, not even necessarily related to that, although it is thematically, right? I know what it's doing, but just image-wise and like had to turn away from the screen, and I'm still thinking about it, and scarred me wise.
The purple pink inside when you're seeing the people move through its.
Still no.
Strangely
enough.
Oh
but
gosh.
Yes, that's quite it goes with how this movie opens. With this movie has an all-time opener. This isn't a spoiler, even though we spoiled the rest already. It opens with this scene at a sitcom that involves a chimp, think 80s, 90s maybe.
So good.
Where the chimp has gone nutso and just started destroying people. And we get bits and pieces of this through flashbacks through Steven Yeun's character. But there's one flashback where I think it kind of lays it all on the table, and he's eating a face, dude. He's eating, like, it's through sound effects, but he's eating the face.
It's really good.
It's horrifying. It is horrific. Just to listen to. Oh, jeez. But then how that ties back, because obviously it is the man. Maybe we can't even do this quickly. Kaluuya's character being this tamer, but also kind of a tame person himself, and that's pretty much his arc, because his father dies and he's not really prepared to take over the business, which is again animals for movies. All of the movie hooks and the film history in this thing, dude, I also love. Just
so
absolutely
good.
Love. But how he comes into his own, and that ends up being his strength, is taming the animal above, and Steven Yeun, the dude who doesn't know how to do that. And suffers for it. But how that all comes back into the third act, and not necessarily ends, but includes that scene where he's just running the thing down as it chases. Just one of the best third acts I think I've seen in recent memory.
And I'm going to go ahead and make a huge shout out here for my favorite person in this freaking movie, Keke Palmer.
Okay.
I mean, okay, to be fair, my favorite character in the movie was the guy, I can't think of his name.
The fries guy, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. No. My actually
Brandon Perea as Angel Torres.
No,
the guy from Fries.
My favorite character in the movie actually was the director who was in The Crow, and I can't think of his name.
Oh, the cinematographer, Michael Wincott. Yeah, Antlers Holst.
Anders Holst.
Do you know what I knew him from? What I was trying to figure out where I knew him from for the longest time?
Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Is he in that? No.
He's Guy of Gisborne. He's the one who goes, "Why a spoon, cousin? Why not a fork or a knife? Because it's dull, you twit."
Is he in every Robin Hood? Actually, he's probably in every Robin Hood in some capacity.
He was definitely
but no, Along Came a Spider.
Oh my gosh, that's a good one. I haven't seen that in a long time.
It is.
Ashley Judd, Morgan Freeman.
Yep. And
and that was a sequel to something too, wasn't it? It was
or it had a spiritual one, something like that. Or the book did.
The character he played was in something else too, but I don't know. Kiss of a Spider? No. Along Came a Spider, and then
Along Came a Spider 2.
Yeah, more spiders.
Gross.
Spider harder.
Kiss the Girls, you're probably thinking.
That's it. That's it.
I have not seen, actually.
I don't remember it.
Wow. The More Like This for Along Came a Spider. Very fun. Kiss the Girls. Double Jeopardy.
Ooh.
The Bone Collector.
I love
High Crimes.
I'm actually a big fan of The Bone Collector. That was a
right?
great.
These
that
are
was
all
a cool
pretty.
movie.
Yeah. Anyway. Nope. I feel like I interrupted you. You were saying something
Keke
about Nope.
Palmer, man, she was amazing.
Oh, yes.
She is
also.
I honestly didn't know who she was until the movie, and I was so that she has such charisma. Like, I just want to watch her on screen be that bombastic, that character all the time. I love her character. She is that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about every single character in this movie. Again, it's one of those where it doesn't seem like anybody's acting. They just seem like those people.
That totally does seem like
Daniel
Kaluuya does totally seem like the guy who's like, yeah, that's cool.
No, and I'm not even saying, I'm not even saying it's like a Keanu Reeves situation where they fall into the perfect roles. Okay. Yeah, they're all great.
Yeah, so a couple of things that I wanted to thematically with that movie too. Like, again, we could do a whole show on this, but the whole thematic thing about, you mentioned Kaluuya taming the things, and I think it's less about taming and more about understanding that certain creatures can't be tamed, and that
there's a few great lines about that.
And there's that aspect, and then I loved the moment with Michael Wincott where he is taken to get the one perfect shot, to get that. Like,
so much of it is about getting the shot too, right? Like it's but yes, you knew Wincott was going to go out and while filming. Yeah,
and it was amazing.
He's such a good character.
Yeah.
From the moment they call him. Actually, no, he's there at the beginning, right? I think when Kaluuya's on set with the horse. I think he's there for that movie that they're doing. But yeah, no, when they call him, and you almost can't even parse what they're talking about. Like, what are they talking about? Because once they both understand each other, he's like, that's impossible. That shot's impossible.
Right.
Like, and he's watching all of this like old, like animal footage of like tigers and stuff like that.
I would say that this movie has probably more layers than we're even touching on. Like,
sure,
much like the other films that Peele has done. He's like an onion. It's you peel it and there's look another layer, and then you've got another layer, and yet a layer upon the layer.
You sound like Antlers Holmes.
Antlers Holmes. I wish I had a scratchy voice like that guy. He was also in Alien Resurrection.
Sorry, Holst.
Nobody likes that movie, but I like it.
I don't. Yeah, I'm an apologist. Yeah, it's totally fine. I mean, I get why. Much like Nope, I get the issues, but
but Alien Resurrection remains an excellent film.
Smart, elevated horror, as they say.
when the human hybrid alien xenomorph that was built off of one of the cloned Ripley's played.
It's dumb. It's objectively dumb, but
and then
it doesn't hurt its case in my eyes.
And then gets sucked out of a hole into space, but before it does, it looks at Sigourney Weaver and goes, "Mama." It says "Mama," and then it goes.
I gotta watch it again.
And then my favorite part of that though is that like essentially it gets sucked the inside, like that whole thing gets sucked inside out from its butthole, basically.
See, I didn't gather that, but
yeah, because it gets stuck,
maybe upon rewatch,
it gets stuck up against the hole in the in like the hull, and it's just starting getting like all of like its back gets pulled out, and it's all mama, and it's kind of like, and for whatever reason,
describe it.
For whatever reason, that is also like I made the thing sound like Toka or Razor from Teenage Mutant Mama.
Which they are in that new Ninja Turtles game, by the way. If you haven't checked it out, Shredder's Revenge, very fun.
Shredder Revenge.
The only other thing I want to shout out about Nope, I do love, You already mentioned him, Brandon Perea, Angel Torres. But I do love when a movie brings in just an absolute, because from the moment he's on screen, you're like, oh, this douchebag. Like, he's so annoying and exactly that guy, and you know who he is. And yet they bring him into the film. He stays, and by the end, he's like, oh, don't die. I don't want that guy to die. You begin, it's great. Love it. Also, the TMZ moment is
Dude,
quite beautiful.
Like, it is, that had to be therapeutic for Jordan Peele to write.
Well, not only that, but it is treated with all of the gravity, because they're setting up this perfectly situated trap kind of for the flying saucer animal. And out of nowhere comes this, looks like a robot, looks like Daft Punk or something like that, just showing up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And so, yes, even visually, you're like, oh no, like, what's happening? What is this? What new wrinkle is this? And then with all of that same gravity, it's like, it's TMZ, and then,
it's
just beautiful. Really good. I would recommend the movie Nope.
Yes, also.
So that's all I have.
That's all
Truly
we have.
all I have for Octoberween.
Octoberween, it happened. It's done. There's going to be a look for the newsletter to go out here tomorrow, probably, or Monday. It might go out on Halloween, but it'll have a little bit on some how good horror has been this year and where we're at and kind of where things might be going. I got
excellent.
Got some things to say.
I cannot wait. I personally, and that is not a joke. Also, keep an eye out, patrons, especially for a new little video series that we're going to start.
Yes.
We're going to start it before it's ready in true fashion, because maybe eventually it'll have an intro and some of that other stuff. But for now, I think it'll just be quick, because that's half the point, is to be quick. Little one-off reviews in video form that we'll post to the Patreon, I believe. We're calling them BCFM by myself, because it will typically feature only one of us, but it's just a good way to get stuff out there more often, and it's not as intensive as writing, at least for me. I still can't believe you do what you do for the newsletter, but glad that you do.
I like it. It's fun for me.
Is it easy to include? Hey, yeah, you can, because these are through the Patreon. You can include a blurb. Maybe that's what I'll do. All of my blurbs for the newsletter from here on out just be quick little videos. How about that?
You can do that if you want to do From the Desk of Ryan Miller as a video. I think we can do that.
What could go wrong?
Oh, I'm sure we can break something.
So come back or visit for the first time the Patreon to find all of these things. And thank you. I don't think we say it enough. Whether or not you're patronizing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Not you, but thank you.
Thank you. No, you.
No, you.
Thank you.
And to you.
Bye.
Bye.